Darius wrote to me and said, "What's your opinion about honking the horn in a car, especially in traffic jams or other situations? Do you do it, and how do you react to other people doing it?" I barely ever use my horn, and I think it's completely counterproductive. I don't get why people are using their horn, particularly in a traffic jam. Where is anybody going to go? I've been in many situations, even on highways, Pat, where it's just a traffic jam, right? There's no decisions to be made. There's nothing to do whatsoever. And all of a sudden people are honking, and not necessarily even at me, but like the person next to me is honking, or people up front or further behind. I don't get the point of it. And I incredibly rarely use my horn. I will do it if someone, and here in Boston, there's a lot of really bad driving. If someone is doing something insanely dangerous, like as I'm driving straight ahead in my lane, someone with no signal starts to sort of drift over, I will do a sustained horn honk there. And usually that will get them to go back into their lane. And I'm very specifically trying to avoid an accident, right? But the sort of honking to complain about, things that are barely even a blip on the radar, I try to restrict my horn honking.
Well, you're very polite, it seems, as a driver.
Yeah.
I think just growing up in the Boston area, I have kind of taken over the idea that you have to beep for any small infraction that someone else commits.
Really?
But I have this idea that there really should be two different kinds of horns. One should be in case a near accident is going to happen and you have to warn the other driver.
Like the normal horn.
Right, and maybe another friendly one to say, oh, the light has turned green, you should start going now, or to say hi to your friends. I mean, I think we need two different ones.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, the problem is every car already has a different sounding horn, so then you'd be talking about, twice as many iterations. I did have not a rude awakening, but I was reacquainted with the use of the horn when I was driving during my trip to Italy in September, because there, with all of the motorcycles and scooters that are constantly diving in and out and in between cars, their horns are actually used very regularly, sort of as like a, "Hey, I'm here" type of message. Like, just so you know, I'm here, because people are constantly weaving. And in the Amalfi Coast, the roads are so narrow and windy that often you can't actually see around the curve rather. And the horn is also used to warn people, because sometimes you would drive not right off to the side, but you would drift sort of to the middle of the road a little bit because it is so narrow. And when you're coming around these curves, you use your horn just to let oncoming traffic know that you're there. At first, it was very distracting because there's constant horn honking, but it's a totally different application there.
Yeah, and for the most part, that's covered here by flashing lights, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, if they're warning someone about something about in the road that's going on,
right,
something that they have to pay attention to, they'll just flash their lights really quick. And I do that all the time.
I have one friend who drives with one hand on the horn because he believes that driving is sort of like dog training, where if you don't provide the feedback immediately, the same way the dog doesn't realize what it's being scolded for unless you scold it immediately, the driver won't connect whatever action they did to being scolded by the horn. So he drives with one hand on the wheel at about 10 o'clock and another hand right on the horn to be able to instantly honk at other cars. I don't know that he's really doing God's work, so to speak, in informing people and improving their driving. I think people have no idea what he's doing, but this is his tactic anyway.
And I'm sure he's a perfect driver, never makes a mistake, and never has to hear the warning himself.
Reports are that he's quite a good driver.
That's good to know.
All right, we have a great bonus show for you today. We're so out of time, I won't even tell you what's on it, but what I will tell you is 2017 David Pakman Show calendars are available at davidpakman.com/calendar17. And if you want the calendar for free, you can also get it with a yearly membership.